If you thought Project 2025 was bad, wait until when you hear about Project Esther, which was written by the Heritage Foundation. Whatever these people are after, they are very clear and very determined to make sure that they make these things happen. And to be honest, their agenda sounds so much familiar to the New World Order. But hey, what do I know? Hey, my people, welcome back to the channel. I do hope that from wherever you are watching this from, you are doing all right. And hopefully God has protected you and preserved you very well. Thank you to all of you that support me on here. My members, a big shout out to you guys for supporting this channel always. Yes, and as always, we do have another interesting episode to look at. And we are going to be looking at the reactions of people dissecting through Project Esther. I don't have to say so much. We have to look at, Project Esther from these amazing people that are, explaining it. We'll come back and talk about it. Just do me a favor, like the video, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. And let me know what you guys think about this. Like, are you ready?
Project Esther, and that's exactly how they planned it to be. They want you distracted by Project 2025 because while everyone's eyes are on that, Project Esther is laying the groundwork for something 1,000 times more dangerous. Think surveillance, suppression, sterilization, religious authoritarianism, all of the above. Project 2025 is the beginning of the manifesto. I don't think people realize that, and it's nowhere near as bad as what it could be. The targeting women, targeting queer people, targeting DEI, targeting anything that doesn't fit biblical values is the beginning to lay the groundwork for Project Esther. It's not just a legislative plan, it's a theological one, which if you don't know what theology is, it's basically the study of God. It is of course backed by Christian nationalists, big surprise there. It has roots in dominionism, which basically is the idea that humans should have the ability to exploit and control other living things, including other humans, plants, nature, whatnot. In the realm of government, it essentially means the idea of conservatives, especially conservative Christians, to take control of secular, civil government and use it as a religious force. Project Esther quite literally aims to replace the Constitution with biblical law. Not figuratively, I mean literally, it quite literally aims to do that. It calls for the things like criminalization of abortion as murder, a national ban, of course, mandatory submission of women to male authority, bans on anything LGBTQ+, think same-sex marriages, gender fluidity, all of it gone. Religious homeschooling to replace public schools and private. Literally, what a lot of Utah cults do think that. And yes, you guessed it, re-education camps for those who resist. They're not even hiding their agenda at all. And here's where it gets so much darker and where it physically makes me ill to think about. Project Esther claims to honor the legacy of Queen Esther, a Jewish woman who saved hundreds of her people from genocide. This same agenda is being championed by individuals and institutions deeply, and I mean deeply aligned with white supremacists and Nazi rhetoric, something that is very anti-Semitic. The Heritage Foundation, the writers of Project 2025 and Project Esther, has time and time again backed figures who quote Hitler, push replacement therapy, and use Nazi-coded language like degeneracy, purity, bloodlines, whatnot. You get the point. So tell me how an initiative claiming to stand against anti-Semitism is supporting and endorsing people who glamorize the ideology that had 6 million plus Jews slaughtered. We're weaponizing biblical stories and structures to build a fascist empire. We're using the memory of Jewish suffering to cover up the reconstruction of the same blueprint that caused it. If that doesn't make your skin crawl, scroll it back and listen to it again. Unlike Project 2025, no one's talking about it. It's not being debated by any politicians. You don't see the media or journalists talking about it because it's not supposed to be passed through Congress. It's not supposed to go through legislation. It's supposed to seep into each institution quietly until it's too late for us to do anything about it. That's why it's so important that everyone knows about this. I need every single person to start talking about this, make videos about it. This is such a horrendous plan. I kept telling people Project 2025 is just the beginning. You don't understand how bad it can get. This is the bad.
Well, I've gotten quite a few messages today of people asking me if I will talk about Project Esther. Now, I have been studying this Project Esther thing for about 5 months now, and I will do a video where we break it down more deeply, but since I'm not feeling well today, I'm going to give you a quick run-through of all you need to know, boo. Very simply, Yes. Now think of Project 2025 and what was its intentions to do? It was to stack the federal government at the highest levels with white nationalist ideals, okay? Through policies and laws and all of that on a much higher federal level, okay? Project Esther is that same exact play brought to you locally. Same exact thing. The same exact thing. All of the ideals that they have, the anti-LGBTQIA, the anti-women's rights, voting and control of your body, all of it, honey. Everything that is rotten within Project 2025 condensed down and directed to small local towns. They want to stack your city council with white nationalists. They want to stack your courthouses, your judges, your sheriff's department, your school board, and all of that. So it's the Big Boy Project 2025 condensed down and more directed locally to affect local small governments. It's a way for them to take away states' rights from the inside of the state because, baby, there's something that all Republicans can almost always agree on, and that is states' rights. So how can they convince them to just willingly hand over their states' rights to the federal government? They can't. So what they're going to do is go in to the state in every little small rural town on USA's map, baby, and stack the deck from the bottom up so that they can get rid of states' rights and all your rights locally. It's the same damn thing, baby, just micro down to a small town. And that's why I've always said, really, the big contest is nothing but a mess. You should be paying more attention to when it's time to elect people to your school board, to your city council, to your mayor's office, a judge, a sheriff, and all of that. And they know that's where the real power lies for the full taking over. It's going to be really hard to completely take over a country. That's not an easy thing to do at all. Not when there's this many of us here and we're so very divided, dear. So they're going to have to do what we've been trying to convince all of you to do, is to get out locally and protect your local governments so that you can protect your state government, so that your state government can influence your what? Federal government. They don't want state governments and local governments influencing the federal government. Project Esther is the way to cut that out. Now, I hope that made that a little simple. We'll deep dive more into that, like I said, when I'm feeling better. I've taken me a shower to try to make myself feel a little bit better. It didn't work. So I'm going to lay down and watch a little bit of TV and try to forget all of the nonsense around me. I hope that helped you, baby. I hope that helped. Just think of Project 2025 being done locally in your town. Same thing. Okay.
One of my mutuals asked me to look into Project Esther, and I had no idea what it was when she made this comment. But me being a man of people, I decided to oblige and looked into it, and boy, oh boy. So essentially, Project Esther is the playbook that the Trump administration is using to deport pro-Palestinian protesters. The article I'm going to reference comes to us via the Vox, and I'll be sure to post a link to that article in the comments so that you can see this and read this for yourself. Anyways, on to Project Esther. So the Trump administration has been arresting and detaining protesters who participated in pro-Palestinian demonstrations. They have justified these arrests by calling those protesters, without evidence, Hamas support. In doing so, the administration appears to be following Project Esther, a plan from the Heritage Foundation, yes, that Heritage Foundation, with the stated purpose of cracking down on anti-Semitism. Published in October, it is seen as an addendum to Heritage, better known Project 2025. Shocking? No, not really. It is also important to note that while Project Esther's intended and stated purpose is to crack down on anti-Semitism in the United States, it was written almost entirely by evangelical Christians with almost no Jewish input. That is honestly not shocking. Anyways, on to the article. Project Esther calls for the administration to rebrand pro-Palestinian supporters as Hamas supporters. It suggests public firings of pro-Palestinian professors and the deportation of student visas and green card holders who have spoken critically of Israel, and advocates for using anti-racketeering laws to break up pro-Palestinian groups. This article and the whole of Project Esther lines up really well with what we've been seeing in this country as it pertains to immigrants who are here legally with permanent residences and green cards, having their green cards revoked, their student visas revoked, and are being arrested, detained, and deported for no reason. The most notable example of this, obviously, was with the detention of Mahmoud Khalil, who was a pro-Palestine activist on Columbia University here legally, right, with a student visa. Was detained by ICE in March and held until June. They had no warrant. He broke no laws. Mahmoud Khalil had no criminal record at all. Throughout that entire ordeal, they branded him a terrorist and a Hamas supporter, all types of other shit. At the end of the day, Project Esther is just yet another example of how evil Donnie's administration is, how evil the Heritage Foundation is, and all the people pulling their strings, and how they seem to have a flagrant disregard for people's lives, people's freedom, and their constitutionally guaranteed rights. At the end of the day, it's just corruption. It's just run-of-the-mill corruption at the hands of rich ass who have nothing better to do than to infringe on people's rights and ruin their fucking lives. And it is important, now more than ever, that we all keep our eyes wide open so that we can see this fuckery coming a mile away.
This is a message to all the women globally. I just want you to know, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody is coming to save you. That is something that we as women know all too well. Nobody is coming to save you. Now, as I decided to go outside to meditate and to journal and to spend this new moon in an amazing mood and indulging in self-care, I found myself in the thinking process about Project Esther and how it's going to be affecting the world, not just the United States, but the world. And then it led me down a pathway of what's happening this September. What we've seen over the past 2 years with the attack on media was them attempting to basically silence us for the role we played and the most recent political shifts that we've seen overseas and here in America, right? And we played a vital role. American citizens played a vital role in the way things have gone over the past 2 years and the way things have shifted over the past 2 years, right? So with that being said, that tells us that we have a lot more power than they would like for us to believe, the government would like for us to believe. On October 7th, 2024, Project Esther was created by the Heritage Foundation. And for those who don't know, it's basically the Handmaid's Tale come to life. I need you to understand that the Handmaid's Tale was not a warning. It wasn't a guidebook. It was preparation. It was programming so that you knew that they had you on their radar, so that you knew what was coming, so that you knew and that your brain could process it and understand where you fall in line. Nobody is coming to save you. And the more everyone sits back or tries to ignore Project Esther and tries to pretend like this isn't going to, you've seen the men get more and more aggressive. I just watched a man leave his child on the front doorstep with nothing but a cell phone in the middle of the night and did not call the mother because he hates the mother more than he loves his own child. I'm watching every day more and more videos of men getting more aggressive. I saw a video the other day of a man mad because he spent $47 on a woman leaning out of his car, foaming at the mouth, ready to fight her because she didn't want to get in his car and have sex with him. Ladies, nobody's coming to save you. You cannot continue to rely on the ideology of, well, it's somebody else's problem. It's not my problem. It's not this, that, and the third, because that same exact ideology is exactly how we got here. Having so many people look the other way is exactly how we got here. Having so many people feel like I'm undecided is exactly how we got here. And know this, as long as they will have control over women, they will have control over your children. And the disgusting, terrible, horrible things that we have seen in the news regarding what they're doing to the Palestinians overseas, the Sudanese, the Congolese, and what Jeffrey Epstein and everybody connected to Jeffrey Epstein has been doing to children will only increase in grandeur. They have shown you and told you to your face that they would rather hunch children than adults. That they would rather you get on your hands and knees and beg them for the nasty shrimps that they have between their legs and less than the bare minimum than to actually treat you like a human being. They showed you and told you to your face that they would rather rely on science to try and create humans than to treat you well throughout the process, the duration of you creating life. God gave you the power to create life, which means that you also have the power to. Food for thought. Y'all may want to start paying attention, because you ignoring Project Esther and all the things that are going on surrounding it, Project 2025 was just the first step. Project Esther is the next step, in which they attempt to Handmaid's Tale the entire United States. What's happening in September with TikTok in America and all the American servers being separated into one central platform outside of everybody else, baby, that's not so they can give you your own space. That's so they can turn the lights off while they destroy you. That's so the whole world can't see how they punish you. That's so that you can't tell the whole world what they're doing to you as punishment for you getting in between their plans overseas. That's what that is. They're separating our servers to punish you. Food for thought. Just thought I should let y'all know.
Wait a minute. I thought Project 2025 was some shit. Now they got something called Project Esther. Ain't got some Project 2025. I'm just saying. So I went ahead and I took it upon myself to take some notes after reading it. And I want to go ahead and just let y'all know what's going on. So this was written by the Heritage Foundation, okay? And one of the things that's on there is all children will be homeschooled via religion, right? And anybody who resists, they have re-education camps to repurpose your brain to make you compliant. I probably should save this for White History Wednesday, because what? Re-education camps? Are you kidding? Abortion is criminal, and you're sentenced to unaliving if you have one. Okay? It's been written in place of the Constitution with biblical law. So they're using the Bible as law in order to control people. And speaking of the Bible, right? It's only one religion, one Bible, one God. You must comply. You can't practice religion outside of what they want us to practice. Surveillance. We thought what they doing with surveillance, like them having cameras everywhere and watching us everywhere, was a thing. No, they want to implant They would have put something in us. And this is written. Go look it up. Like, don't take my word for it. Don't even get in the comments trying to argue with me. Go look up Project Esther, okay? They want to put implants in that keeps up with your blood pressure, your health, your everything. They want to keep up with your every move. They want to know where you are every second of the day. Granted, we know that they already have ways of doing that via other ways of surveillance, but now they want to forcibly implant us with things, okay? Women, this is big for us because we are no longer considered people. We would be property of our husbands, okay? We can no longer drive, vote, wear our hair the way we want to. We must get permission from our husbands to do anything, okay? Sterilization. At birth, they will sterilize young girls, and when they come of age to have a baby, they will grow a baby in a lab and implant the baby in you just to keep the Caucasian race going. Population control. No more LGBTQ plus, okay? You either straight or they unalive you as a man. But as a woman, you still have a working womb. So they're going to force you to marry a man. This low-key worse than Handmaid's Tale because they wasn't forced to marry people. They was just forced to get hunched on. Lord have mercy. What we gonna do about this Project Esther?
In order to understand Project Esther, you have to understand where the name comes from, how they are going to sell it to the American people. Now, this is based on the Bible. Specifically, this is a white Christian nationalist movement. The Heritage Foundation is behind it. It is incorporated and interwoven into Project 2025. In the Bible, Esther is a woman who becomes the queen of Persia and finds herself in the middle of a plot for the Persian people to be absolutely exterminated. And she is the woman that intercepts the situation and saves them from that absolute genocide. So that's going to be the sell. The sell is going to be that there are people all throughout the country, progressives, leftists, Democrats, anyone who does not agree with the Project 2025 agenda, and they want to essentially exterminate the white Christian nationalists. That's the story they will sell to the American people. Except they will not use the language white Christian nationalists. They will say it's an attack on Christianity. So let me show you now how Project Esther is planned out to sort of infiltrate every aspect of the American people's lives. The main objective of Project Esther is to completely demolish the idea of separation of church and state. And their plan for having this done is to galvanize or emotionally pull at the Christian right and make sure that there is a strong network of faith leaders as well as churches, meaning there's going to be this major network of white Christian nationalists who are moving Project Esther forward. And the plan is to take all of these faith leaders, this giant network that has then been created, and infiltrate the American government at all levels. They will run essentially Project Esther candidates from churches as candidates and get them involved politically all over the country. And they are to focus heavily on the issues of abortion, parental rights, education, and religious liberty. And there are a number of key elements that you have to be on the lookout for. The first of these is church mobilization. They will build a national coalition of churches and pastors who will act as a moral compass for things like elections and public policy. Step 2 is policy influence. They will make sure that they have candidates at all levels of government, like I said, and when they are in these roles, when they hold offices, they are to make sure that they are driving the white Christian nationalist agenda forward. Once elected and installed in their offices, these candidates are to push forward the white Christian nationalist agenda by passing laws that reflect their beliefs. These beliefs include anti-LGBTQ legislation, curriculum bans, the expansion of school choice, and the expansion of religious exemptions in healthcare as well as education. And while this will happen again at all levels of government, step 3 is very specific to local government. And that shows you how unfortunately smart they are, because when you think about government, you think of the president, you think of the Supreme Court, you think about all of these really big players in Washington, but that's not where the real change happens. Real change happens at the micro levels of government in cities, towns, and boroughs. So they will develop a leadership pipeline for Christian nationalists to become school board members as well as other very local elected officials. And then those individuals at the micro level of government all throughout the United States will push faith-based policy. And they get all of this done through step 4, which is cultural and spiritual framing. Across the nation, those involved in Project Esther will reframe political issues as spiritual warfare. They will tell Christian believers that they need to be involved politically, not because of activism, not because it is civic duty, but rather because it is religious duty. And those are the straight facts of what is to come. There are so many more intricacies to this, how they will play to the idea that anyone who is pro-Palestine must be an anti-Semite, the idea that they will infiltrate education in very detailed ways. I will go into all of that on the podcast, but this is the fact of what the overview looks like. This is what the goal is, to get rid of the separation of church and state.
These are the different ways that Project Esther plans to achieve its goals. So its priorities are as follows. Number 1, they're going to expose the critical resources fueling anti-Semitism by gaining a comprehensive understanding of the infrastructure that sustains individuals and organizations supporting Hamas. Number 2, mobilize a coalition of private organizations. They're going to build and coordinate the efforts and activities of private organizations in the U.S. to achieve combined effects. Number 3, erode support for anti-Semitism. exploit fissures within and among anti-Semites and affiliated organizations and their target audiences. Number 4, synchronize coalition actions to maximize impact. Orchestrate actions and activities across society in collaboration where appropriate with federal and state government to achieve the desired impact and align resources toward priorities. Number 5, focus. Disrupt and degrade networks and deny them the resources they need to conduct and sustain anti-Semitic behavior. Number 6, communicate. Erode support for anti-Semitic behavior, expose the individuals and organizations supporting such language to discourage it, and laud the individuals and organizations effectively countering it to encourage others to join. And to be clear, when we're talking about anti-Semitism here, we're talking about folks who are pro-Palestine. And the idea is that if you're not for Israel, you're against it, and therefore against, you're anti-American as well. And so there are many of us who do not support genocide, and therefore we are deemed anti-Semitic according to the Heritage Foundation. And that is very dangerous territory to say that if you're not this, you are this. And there are just so many shades of grays. There's so much complexity to this issue, and I don't think that's fair, but they're going to target it. So they're going to target folks who are saying free Palestine, folks who are, and they actually mentions those specific slogans, from the land to the sea, Palestine shall be free, free Palestine, those slogans, and in Project Esther. So there's a lot of scary stuff in here that's going to impact all areas of life. So stay tuned for more.
Remember in my last video, I said, keep your eyes on the moving objects, because even though they want you to pay attention right here in the media, wherever, there's something going on in the background, right? So here's why the thing that's in front of you is not just a distraction, it's possibly a cover, because while your attention is being pulled over there, they're doing something right here and over there. But right now we're talking about Project Esther. But what it feels like is like Operation Waterback. We gonna call it that. Just rebrand with a better website and a few headlines, right? So let me try to put it plain. Like ICE didn't hold a press conference. They didn't want your attention. They just rolled it out quietly, deliberately, and with precision, right? And who are they going after? Y'all should know this answer. Undocumented women and children. We know about the men, right? But mostly people from Latin America. Fast, silent, with no time for a warning, no phone call. You can't call nobody. They just snatching, detaining, and deporting. Not even checking, not even asking questions. Sound familiar? Because it should. Because back in 1954, they called it Operation Waterback. Y'all know the real word. Over 1 million people pushed out. Some were U.S. citizen, no trial, no process, no rights. 1954. Just like that, you don't belong here. And here we are again. It's the same play. It's the new stage. It's the same play. It's the new stage. But here's the twist. Project Esther is quiet. No barking orders, no mobs, just soft language, sterile policies, and a polished rollout. But don't be fooled. We shouldn't be fooled by this, because behind the curtain, mothers are missing. I've been asking y'all, where are all these women? They don't show any women. What about the children who are crying because they're missing their families, are being shattered in real time? And while the media is busy elsewhere, this thing is growing. People been saying this, like, think again. Visa overstays, work permits caught in backlog, students under review, your neighbor who's waiting on the green card. Project Esther starts with the vulnerable, but it won't stop there, right? Because this ain't just about borders, it's about control, right? Because fear and power is that thing. Fear the people, but take control of the people. It's the government testing how silence will swallow those in the vulnerable communities, right? What makes you think yours won't be next? How do we even come to this? See, I know what I'm capable of because I served the United States Marine Corps and also the Navy. So I'm trained to do certain things. So I've always been locked and ready, if you get what I'm saying. So what about other people? I don't know, y'all. I'm still looking at what this Project Esther is doing, but I'm seeing tears every day. And I feel like if it's not in your own backyard or on your front porch, people are not going to care. But wait until they pick up your multicultural daughter, son, grandchild, because they believe. I'm just leaving it right there. What are we doing, people?
So I'm not telling you that Project Esther is already in motion and was quietly rolled out 9 months ago. I'm also not telling you that it's tied to Project 2025, which is a literal playbook for a Christian nationalist takeover of America. I am most definitely not telling you that in the name of fighting anti-Semitism, they are using it to surveil college students, cancel visas, and criminalize protests and label activists as extremists. I am not telling you that supporting Palestine or just asking the wrong questions online can now get you flagged, deported, or blacklisted just for using your voice. And I am not telling you that this plan assigns more value to conformity than to truth. I am not telling you that they are building a system that doesn't allow room for freedom of speech, freedom of religion, or freedom of thought. I am also not telling you that re-education camps, Christian-only curriculum, and correction for spiritual practitioners are all floating around in the draft policy language. And I am definitely not telling you to go search Project Esther and the Heritage Foundation and read that PDF with your own eyes. But what I will say is, you heard it here first. But I didn't tell you a thing.
I'm going to drop this little knowledge and then I'm going to be on my way. I know many of us are looking at the fact that the co-author and the co-creator of Heritage Foundation passed away a couple days ago, so probably a big funeral is coming, right? What you need to be paying attention to, I know you know about Project 2025. I know a lot of my followers, we know about Project 25. But do you know about Project Esther? Do you know about Project Esther? Go ahead and search it and then come back. Tell me what you think. Because what is happening with Project Esther? Because see, Project 2025 is over 60% complete. Project Esther is slicker. Don't ever think that these people are not highly intelligent. These people are highly intelligent. Do you think none of this is, it's not a conspiracy. Like, think about it. The fact that all of a sudden we realize that the Trumpelstiltskin has congestive heart failure. Come on. Anybody who's been around people who've been eating McDonald's all day and night know that they probably got congestive heart failure. I'm just saying. I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying. But Project Esther, see, that's the slick part. They are going to purposely, they're not going to call it Christian nationalists. They're not going to call it conservative Christians. They're going to say there's an attack on Christianity. Why do you think they're pushing so much for these education opportunities to go into private schools, to go into parochial schools, right? To go into more of the Christian schools, not even Catholic schools, to Christian schools. They're going to be so strategic. They're going all the way down to the local elections. This is why local elections matter as much as those way up there presidential ones. Those local elections matter too. They're going to go and they're going to start putting people everywhere. And I'm seeing it. That's what the redistricting is about, right? That's what all of that is about. They're trying to do this. They're purposely getting. And why do you think Trumpelstiltskin was like, now pastors can go ahead from their pulpit and they can talk about different, have more religious people come in, not religious, but more politicians, that they want less separation of church and state. So just pay attention to the things that are going on. Look up Project Esther. Tell me what you think. Because Project 2025 is pretty terrifying. But Project Esther, we need to be more Queen Vasties. A lot of people don't understand Queen Vasti. Queen Vasti got kicked out because she told the king, no, you're not about to parade me around your little friends with all your ego. They always push up the story of Esther, but they did not like the fact that Queen Vasti said, no, you're not about to have me out here showing to your guys. Look her up too. We need more Queen Vasties.
Project 2025 is almost halfway done, and now Project Esther is being rolled out, and you need to know what it is. Project 2025 is a complete plan to restructure how everything works. Education, jobs, policy, rights, and communication. What you're seeing now, the shifts in leadership's priorities and policies, that is not random, it is mapped out. While people are still catching up on that, Project Esther is being rolled out in real time. And its focus is different, but just as serious. I'm going to go deeper into each of these points in a follow-up video, but I don't want this video to be suppressed or taken down because it's too long because of what I'm talking about. Project Esther is designed to reframe certain forms of speaking out as harmful or unsafe. It removes people quietly from spaces tied to academic and public discussion. It applies pressure to certain institutions so they cut ties with certain speakers or topics. It uses rules typically reserved for serious situations to take action against people who speak out. It uses rules typically reserved for serious situations to take action against people who speak out and monitors online activity and public records for certain affiliation. It will also limit access to platforms perceived to pertain to alignment. If that sounds vague, it's meant to be because it's how it's being executed. But this is a framework that can be expanded to any group, cause, or community that challenges what's being pushed forward.
Cases like this, projects like this is why sometimes I get myself so invested in matters that are happening in the United States of America, because these shape the world at large. Might not shape it right now, might start in the United States, but give it a few years, it will be spreading. Now, I know some of you don't believe in the Antichrist and the New World Order stuff. Some people think it's conspiracy theory, but I think at this point, I don't think it's a conspiracy theory anymore. Some of these things are really, really happening, like for real. And when I heard about the fact that they want to have one God, yeah, one religion, one world religion, I was like, what? This sounds familiar, because this is what the Antichrist is targeting. And I might build it so beautifully, or it has to be about the Bible and all of that. God gave us consciousness and minds to make decisions and choose what is right and wrong. He wasn't wrong about this. because he wanted to give man chance to choose right from wrong, so that when you make it one day to him, you'll be like, you didn't give me a chance. You forced me. Yeah? And God is not a God that forces you, except in only certain instances where he makes a certain decision and he's like, you know what, Gracie, you're just so wild. I'm going to have to do what I have to do to get you in line. That makes a lot of sense. But for a government to sit down and start dictating this, and at the core, it makes it seem like they are all about morals. They are talking about, getting rid of the LGBTQ community, or there's not going to be any more, abortion and all of that. But guess what? These people kept a woman that was literally clinically pronounced unalive, right? And they kept her just to make sure that lady, shelters a baby in her. This until when she started rotting. So they make it so much that it seems like they really care about human life, but at the core of it, it's not because they care. And that's why I say there's something that is disguising as something beautiful to steal the minds of people to think, oh, this is good. When in actual sense, it is they are actually trying to buy your time and buy your trust. Especially those that are gullible, that are not going to see the signs written on the wall. We are living in bad times, evil times. First of all, this very foundation is being accused of quite a lot of things, literally spreading misinformation. These people regurgitate the Yassism stuff, yeah, and silence people. And these people promote propagandas of how there was fraud and how indeed DT won the other election that he lost. And that's why they back the fact that people had to storm the Capitol. These people are backing authoritarianism, where literally it is going to be one supreme leader. And man, literally, when it comes to women, it is even so scary. Sterilization? What does that sound like? That sounds like some of the same lines that we hear about the so-called conspiracy theory of the one world order. Yeah? They have control over you. It's not just that. They want one financial institution, one currency too. And guess what? They want to monitor you. Does that sound similar? Yo, when scriptures say that the enemy literally knows that he doesn't have time, so much time left. Indeed, the catalysts and the machines he's using, they are so very much sold out to make this agenda work, because they know the times are coming when they have to, their time is almost done. But for the fact that you have to be monitored with something implanted in you, what does that sound like? One world leader. Because you'll be like, oh, you're so invested in United States. United States is literally like the beginning of all the things that we are seeing. Where did all this LGBTQ and normalizing a lot of these things start from? Who is fighting for a lot of this so-called, I don't know, who is investing a lot of money just to make sure that they decrease the population? It starts where? in the US. That's why a lot of people believe that United States, the Antichrist might be revealed in the US. It is scary. Not because I know it's gonna come here, but because anyway, it has to happen whether we like it or not, yeah? But it is being displayed in our face. But also, I have my people that don't believe in these things, yeah? Yeah, that believe that God is not going to force himself on you. He doesn't. He does not. So they make it seem like it's all godly, it's all, we care. But this Project Esther, and it has started already rolling out. It is like literally in motion. My people, if you've never prayed hard, I think this is time. You're like, cause some of, to me, right? This is literally like the beginning of that so-called one world order. And it is going to start as something that is small, except if someone fights it, because scripture said that, of course, these things would be happening, right? They would have happened already, but it's because there is one that is resisting, or that is literally, I don't know, how does it say it? Like there's one who is trying to prevent it from happening, like from unfolding it. And that's the Spirit of God. Whenever they are about to do something, they'll be like, hold up, people are going to criticize you. Or sometimes when they bring these things up, people speak up. God can speak through people, yeah? And then these people are reminded, oh, it's not time yet. Yeah? But of course, time is going to come where, even if it is resisted, they have to do it. So I hope you all are realizing which times we are in. It will start in the US. It's going to rotate all around the world. One world leader, one world religion, one world currency, everything one world. I'll see you in another amazing video. For me for today, that's it. Yo, this is not to scare you, by the way, okay? No. This is just for information purposes only.